Hey guys, D.Bowie here, and this is how Arteezy plays Phantom Lancer in 700. PL was always a good hero to deal with techies early on, especially because you can send your illusions to deal with mines. The fact that you can easily dodge the pseudo-suicide with Dope Walk only makes everything better. The biggest nerf of this matchup was at the mid and late game situations, since your illusions don't carry true sight anymore. As soon as the laning phase starts, we can see a big difference. Arteezy don't go for Quelling Blade. In fact, he never buys it, and this was something pretty common for any PL since Quelling Blade worked on illusions. The fact that it doesn't scale as you get more edgy seems to be enough to disregard the item completely. In this clip we can see how PL was a good pick this game, since Arteezy was aware of his surroundings, he spots Tiny and Slardar setting up this gank, and check how not only he positions himself to use Dope Walk, but he is already facing where he wants to jump. If he was turned towards dire creeps, he wouldn't have time to do this. Magic Wand really pays off in this fight as well. He already used tons of Spirit Lances, and when they really dive the tower, pay attention to his positioning. At this stage of the game, PL is a very bad right clicker, especially with Slardar and Tiny having damage block, so he mainly throws Spirit Lances. Understanding the limits of your hero is very important. If this was an anti-mage for instance, he would be way more prone in auto-attacking them because he burns mana and overall deals way more damage at this stage of the game. PL has an escape, but way less reliable and with a bigger cooldown. When Pudge gets isolated though, he goes for the kill, and Slardar also dies. Another interesting subject to talk about is him going Helm of the Dominator. Now that the item gives attack speed and an attack speed aura, both benefiting illusions, it seems like a decent choice for early game impact. Instead of stacking like before, HOD seems more like a way to PL farm without taking so much damage, since with the higher movement speed bonus, the creep can keep up in the jungle. The fact that this is a tomato only benefits him even more. This clip is very interesting. He gets hooked while he had a small satyr with him, but he gives up on purge and amplify damage, not only because he felt like he would survive, but because Dope Walk dispels amplify damage anyways. In the end, he uses Purge on techies to kill him with his own illusions while he ran, and they turn the fight in their favor. To be honest, Arteezy's item build is very weird to me. I did not have time to test it, but it seems completely geared towards abusing the amount of illusions you can create with Spirit Lance while at the same time abusing the agility bonus from Phantom Rush. If you think about it, Diffusal is not so much cheaper than Eggs, and while it gives a ton of damage early on, the damage bonus to illusions got nerfed, and it lets you very squishy, especially considering Arteezy got attack speed talent, Wind Travels, and Helm of the Dominator. I guess an obvious point I also did not mention is how Eggs helps him in teamfights. PL is the type of hero that is really good at killing alone targets and very bad at dealing damage to multiple heroes. Scepter makes his 250 damage nuke with 7-second cooldown 5 times stronger than it was, while also spawning illusions and slowing, in theory, 5 enemy heroes. As Arteezy is farming the large camp on the dire side of the map, somewhere dangerous, he does something few PL players do, and it's so simple. He sends an illusion to scout whether someone is coming or not. They have Slardar, Pudge, and Tiny in the other team, so he has to worry about long-range initiation. Tiny was somewhere else though, and here we can see how the buff to dominated creeps can be useful. Our lovely satyr reaches him very fast to purge Tiny, and slowly but surely Radiant gets a kill. Another interesting aspect of the buff is that the creeps can follow everyone during fights, and even though Arteezy TP'd bot to defend the tier 2, he can eventually join them with travels. He helps them slay techies with the satyr, but the poor dude dies for our sins. Eventually he decides to go top, but OD gets an easy rampage before he was able to do anything. They end up not being able to high ground because they had no detection, and Arteezy keeps farming for Diffusal, the natural progression after going Eggs, at least in my opinion. I was quite surprised he chose 15-second cooldown reduction over 8 to all stats, but if you think about it, now that the Spirit Lance potentially deals more than 1k damage, reducing its cooldown in a teamfight really increases his damage by a decent amount. I'm not sure if this build Arteezy went for was directly tailored against surviving high amounts of burst damage from Tiny, Slardar and techies, but it does pay off in this clip. He almost dies to the techies' mines, but the extra HP saves him. Definitely a difference that Scepter made. Even though the scepter doesn't really increase his right click damage by a lot, it feels like it gives him the ability to endure fights without dying, while at the same time farming faster than Diffusal. We usually talk about the extra damage on heroes, but dealing 1.2k damage to creep waves on a 7-second cooldown is very strong, allowing him to keep up in farm with an anti-mage. I guess another good reason to go Scepter in this game is the fact that they have so many melee heroes, allowing the bounces from the Spirit Lance to be reliable. Well, this wraps up for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, it helps a lot. If you want to see the extended version of this video, please check the link in the description, and I can't overstate how this video wouldn't ever be possible without Pugna. Pugna is a platform where you can learn from people like Chessie, Fogged, Slesser, Monib, and get better at the game. They have now great content on 7.0.0, and if you want to raise your MMR, it's a great time. Just figure out the patch faster than others and get those easy wins. And of course, if you're new to my channel, subscribe to it if you enjoyed this content. But as you can see, the new Ancient Camp is ridiculously strong and he has to go somewhere else. Since Clarities don't cancel with lane and jungle creeps, Zai can make this play with no fear of losing efficiency. He midnight pulses a near camp to draw aggro, send his babies there while he finishes the remaining golems. One cool thing we can see him doing here is that not only he doesn't cast another Eidolon right away because the camp is about to die, but he also wants to make a stack since it's close to 3 minutes. He regens with his mid, which is always a good idea, and stacks the camp with Midnight Pulse. Since we have more camp